To be utterly honest, if there is one thing that has most changed my life, it is YouTube. And I know. I know. A lot of you saying, oh, YouTube is a waste of time. I'm trying to get off YouTube. But really, I think the difference between YouTube and other social media sites is YouTube has long-form videos that a lot of times aren't just mindless. And the YouTube culture is, I feel, extremely honest as well. So what you can get from YouTube is completely different from what you get from other social media sites. And the good thing about YouTube is that while it is educational, it's also incredibly fun. That's why you spend hours on YouTube, if you're like me, every day. And I'm going to tell you why YouTube changed my life. Because YouTube gave me several things, okay? It gave me communication, it gave me knowledge, and it gave me ideas. And I'd say ideas is the most important. It actually comes from the top two. With knowledge, man, I've learned everything. Like, every hobby that I had comes from YouTube. I've learned magic, I've learned gaming, guitar, debate, investing, even card counting, I've learned from YouTube. Typing, speed reading, just to name a few. And right now I'm trying to learn sketching and drawing. YouTube is like Skillshare, have you heard that before? You know, YouTube is like school or university, but you can choose to learn whatever you want, whenever. It's a pool of just free resources. I'd argue that it's even more effective than any university out there, because if you're looking for university content, first of all, you can just look on YouTube and search it up. Usually there, universities upload their own lectures, although it's kind of boring. But YouTube is the best resource out there because creators are able to make things educational but also fun at the same time in order for the algorithm to, show their video to you guys. So I think YouTube is honestly the best way to learn out there at the moment. In any case, let's get into how this video is going to help you. Again, if you're going to use YouTube for many hours, okay, and I know this for a fact, you may not want to admit it, but it's true, you might as well use it for a good purpose. Because when I was, before I was 10, I was watching only gaming videos on YouTube. Okay, I used to watch popular MMOs, Stampy, Longhead, the classics. It was pretty good. But eventually I just thought, man, I'm spending 5 hours each day on YouTube, and I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching gaming videos, and I'm not even playing the games, right? I was gonna say a very vulgar analogy there, right? It's like watching it and doing it. You can probably think of what I was about to say. Okay, probably lost a bunch of you, right? a lot of you clicked off right there. But anyways, yeah. So I'm spending 5 hours a day on YouTube. Might as well learn something, and I think we should all feel the same way. Okay, so this video is going to be structured pretty well. We're going to go from the lowest level to the highest level, and you can be anywhere on this line. Okay, you can even be off the chart, like where I was, purely watching gaming videos. But this is based on extending your attention span. So at the beginning, right, videos are going to be educational, but the attention span required is going to be low. You can still learn, but it's not going to be fantastic. It's not going to be like prime. And at the highest level, education is going to be much more higher, but the attention span required is also going to be much more higher. You can think of it as it's going to be more boring, right? But really, if you follow this chart, okay, and you progress slowly, you're not going to feel bored by the end of it, okay? It's like slowly building up to running a marathon, right? At the beginning, you sprint 100 meters, and then you go to 400, and then you go to 800, and then you go to 1,000, and then you go to 10, probably not, maybe 10,000. Let's say 10,000 meters, okay? If you went from, being fat and lazy, and by the way, YouTube is the sole reason I've had any sort of fitness. I live in Hong Kong, right? And in Hong Kong, there's no gym culture, not really, and my parents don't go to the gym, nothing, right? So I had to watch YouTube in order to learn that I need to go to the gym. It's actually a pretty interesting story how I got to, got into fitness, because it's a lot of hoops I had to jump through because of the local culture here. But it's all because of YouTube that I'm any sort of fit for now, that I'm fit at all, right? and that could extend my lifespan. So in a way, YouTube extended my lifespan, which is pretty crazy to think about. In any case, again, if you go from fat and lazy straight to 10,000 meters, you are gonna die. You're not gonna be able to do it. But if you go slowly, 100 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, progress, like we're doing here, at the end, it's gonna feel easy, and you're gonna absorb all the education. So let's get straight into it. All right, now, first level, video essays. Now, at this level, where you're at the lowest, right? You're trying to get into educational space. At this point, the topics you're going to learn about are very YouTube-y. So, for example, right, Sunny V2 is a great channel. There's Pine Lee as well. Their videos are highly edited, right? There's a lot of edits, lots of different scenes. So, in a way, it's kind of like those stimulating gaming videos. But then you're learning something at the same time. But at this point, I say learning really tentatively, because you're learning about stuff that's not really practical, but you're expanding your knowledge, which is already a correct step forward. Here, I'd also talk about inspirational videos, because at this point, I also want you to start thinking about self-help. Now, at this point, because I would consider myself, if I'm on the curve, somewhere around here. Okay, I'm still not at the highest level. We're going to talk about some of the formats of the highest level later on, and some of that stuff I just can't watch through them in all its entirety, because at this point you have like 5-hour videos. But I'd say that inspiration videos, once you get to a higher level, they're not that good. But at this moment, okay, at this moment, if you're right you're quitting gaming watcher, you're getting into educational space of YouTube, inspirational videos are a great way, because they're edited as well, so they're very interesting, and they're usually the creme de la creme. If you don't know what that vocabulary means, it's the cream of the crop. It's the best of the best, usually best of the best clips of a particular video. So, you're getting the best stuff quickly. It's fantastic. And now that you've graduated from the lowest level, you move on to the next. So next, you have comedy, but at the same time, educational. Now, why do I say comedy? Because this is going to be a personal opinion, and this is I'd even say this is step 1.5, because it's not strictly necessary. But I think comedy is so important, because it gives you a sense of humor. I cannot tell you how important it is to have a sense of humor when you are communicating with people. Okay, the thing that's going to set you apart is going to be that sense of humor. A person without a sense of humor is not going to be effective at all in communication. It's just something behind the communication that's not there if you don't have a sense of humor. And this is something you can only develop through comedy. And it doesn't mean you're going to have to crack jokes all the time, although there are people who do that successfully. Sometimes I do that, but I'm not as great as some other people at it. But even if you don't, having this sense of humor and being able to laugh when other people tell jokes and being able to respect that is huge. I've made a video about this before. Communication is the most important skill, in my opinion. And I'd also prescribe a YouTube channel. You probably know this one, Penguin Zero. Man, that guy is master of communication analogies. You just watch his videos and you'll find out. It's incredibly funny as well, deadpan humor. He's got everything. I swear he has a bunch of writers behind him, maybe, but regardless, it's still very impressive the way he delivers, and you learn everything from Penguin Zero in terms of communication wise. So yeah, please watch this channel. I highly recommend this. Even now, right? Even when you get to a higher level, you're gonna still watch Penguin Zero, because it's just fantastic for kind of developing your sense of humor while learning something. All right, step 2. So here I would say tutorials. Now, what does this mean? Tutorials, as in stuff you want to learn. Think, what do I want to learn? It's a very good question, because you can learn anything. Just think about what skills you want to develop. What do you feel like right now? Right now, okay, activity for you, the viewer. Okay, I'm talking to you. Yes, you. I want you to just think for 5 seconds. What do you want to learn? What's at the top of your mind? Something you want to learn, but you haven't started learning yet. Got it? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I guarantee there's a tutorial for that on YouTube. There's a tutorial for everything on YouTube. everything, and I mean it. If there's something you can't learn on YouTube, please comment down below. Okay, because I'd be very impressed if you could find something like that. Anything. Horse riding, shooting bows, ballet. You can learn all of that. Maybe, granted, this is maybe not as effective as going to a class, but there's many skills, like magic, for example. Something I used to be very into. Might even do a magic tutorial one day. But magic is something... I've learned magic in person, right? And I've learned magic on YouTube. I can tell you, YouTube is 10 times better, plus it's free. I can tell you this from experience. There's just some stuff that's even better on YouTube. And I'd say this goes for coding as well. Coding's better on YouTube, right? So think about what you want to learn and learn it. And yeah, at this point, it's just tutorials because this also sticks with your interests, right? And these videos aren't too academic, usually, unless you're trying to learn something academic. But if you're interested in something academic, I assume that it's not going to be boring for you anyways. You're probably farther ahead in the curve. All right, first step. Self-help. I know self-help industry gets a bad rap, and when you get to higher levels, you'll understand that, yeah, sometimes self-help is just really repetitive, but I cannot tell you how much self-help videos on YouTube helped me, myself, at the beginning. It was huge, night and day. I remember, this is one of the most important YouTube channels of my life, Graham Stephan. Now, I don't really listen to him anymore, just because I feel like a lot of the stuff he says these days isn't quite accurate, in my opinion, and I don't agree with much of what he says these days. But back in the day, he's a investing guy, right? Investing, finance. He gives you tips what to do when you're young, right? And he also gives you book recommendations. Book recommendations, man, that is something else that just made a world of a difference. Book recommendations. When a YouTuber has a book recommendation, take a look, buy it. For example, I'll give you a book recommendation right now. You probably heard this before if you're in the self-help space already. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Single-handedly, the most important book of my life. Most important book. It made such a world of a difference, man. It was recommended by Graham Stephan, by the way. So thank you, Graham, if you're watching this video. Probably not, but thank you anyways. Fantastic. Like this, once you read this book and you actually try to implement it, right? If you have a drive to make friends and influence people, as the title suggests, you're gonna get far ahead. It's written so long ago, but I mean that just proves how timeless the concepts are. Yeah. Anyways, but you gotta understand, this is self-help videos. I think a lot of the tips you can follow, but a lot of the stuff you have to just reference, just as a reference as well, right? Take it as a starting point. It's an origin point. It's not the end. It is not the end by any means. All right, and I can tell you, most people stop here, is the thing, and then they don't end up progressing. But I want you to progress. So, what after self-help? Well, podcasts. I know. Podcasts get a bad rap these days. A lot of the stuff is really radical. But at this, I would say specifically, and this may be controversial, but I'm not talking about any kind of podcast, okay? I'm talking about conservative podcasts. Now, why is that? This is especially true if you are a teenager. Or, honestly, even if you're a worker, okay? Because everything around us, surrounding us, 360, is liberal. It's all liberal. And you can deny it however you want, but you gotta understand, if in schools we're learning about all the different genders and, the women empowerment and that, it's true that 360, we're surrounded by liberal beliefs. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It may be right, okay? Because politics, there's no wrong and right. It's just something I don't understand. There's no wrong and right. I'm not, right? I have my personal beliefs on this, but you can, for example, I made a gender gap video, but anyways, there's no wrong or right, okay? But if you are insulated by only one belief, no matter how that belief is, even if it is 100% good, we're still human. And humans, see, this is okay, you can skip this part if you want. This is a quick Bible lesson. You can use this on your friends. It's pretty interesting. Adam and Eve, right, in the Bible. The reason they were expelled from the Garden of Eden was because they ate from a tree that contained the knowledge of good and evil. As humans, we are supposed to understand good and evil. If we're only insulated by one belief, 360, and made to believe it's 100% good, there's something wrong with that in itself. In itself, that is flawed. We need to have an opposing belief. So I'd say listen to podcasts that are conservative, even if they're like far right. Okay? Even if they're far right, still listen to it. Because right now, most of the stuff we're learning is pretty far left. So it's just balancing. It's not, I'm not trying to make you conservative, okay? You can watch a conservative podcast and then decide, okay, I'm still a liberal. But even if you're still a liberal, you're going to be a liberal that understands conservatives. And that understanding is what's crucial. That understanding is what's going to build your knowledge and what's going to build future ideas and make them more complex. All right? So this is what I prescribe. Let me give you a YouTube channel example. Let's say Ben Shapiro. Man, I actually got to Ben Shapiro quite interestingly. So in my school, I used to do a lot of debate, and I wanted to learn how to debate, right? So I went on YouTube, naturally. All right, I was at the tutorial stage, and I saw Ben Shapiro. I never knew who he was before, but he sounded like a smart guy, spoke fast, liked his style, and I started watching his podcast, and man, that just... listen, all this stuff, I've learned through experience. I've learned it through the hard way. And yeah, but Ben Shapiro really led me to some great ideas, so watch him. All right. Now, last level. Or the level where I'm at right now. So maybe not that last, but interviews. And this is when you start getting into expanding your knowledge. That's all. And these interviews include like podcasts that aren't completely designed to skew your political beliefs in some way. Something like the Huberman Lab. That one's a pretty great podcast. It's a really sciencey one. But interviews, right? Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment does this pretty well. Very well, actually. His interviews are incredibly interesting, right? This is when you start getting to expanding your knowledge bubble. Because at this point, it's not just about politics and helping yourself. It's more just being curious, asking questions. And I say this is the final level. It's where I'm at right now. And I'm excited for what comes next, but at this point, just to conclude, you want to become educated through YouTube. I think that's fantastic. And you should. If you like YouTube, you should. Right? And this assumes that you're curious the whole way through. You're curious about things. You want to expand your knowledge. You want to get better at things. Get better at communicating. Get better at ideation. Get better at whatever it is you want to get better at. And remember, it's a curve. So don't fret if, you watch a video and you get bored. Even though you know it's educational. Just scale it back a little and then go slowly. And I'm confident, eventually, right? Eventually, you'll get to a point where YouTube is your school. It is your university. And, since YouTube contains literally anything on everything, I think that's a pretty good future. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Anyways, watch some more YouTube. See ya.